All righty. Western Hills Water District meeting of the Board of Directors, Wednesday, September 8th, 2021. It is 6:03 p.m. We're reconvening to open session. There are no reportable actions taken during closed session. Moving on to the motion approving the cassette calendar. All matters listed hereunder shall be acted upon by a single vote of the board. There will be no individual discussion of these items unless a member of the board or the public so requests, in which event the matter shall be removed from the consent calendar and considered as a separate agenda item. Make a motion to approve the August 2021 checks and warrants and approval of the minutes from the regular board meeting August 11th, 2021. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, moving on to our action items. Consideration and approval of resolution number 2021-15, resolution of the Western Hills Water District regarding approval of the expenditures of approximately $50,000 of Diablo Grande Community Facilities District Number 1 Melrose Bond refinance proceeds for the payment of immediate water district expenses. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, consideration and approval of an amount not to exceed $6,500 to hire Cropper Accounting Agency to produce the Western Hills Water District audited financial statement. Mark, would you like to discuss briefly what that is for folks in the community that might not know what that is?
Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, we're required every year to submit and publish a audited financial statement. Historically, it's been done by Cropper Accounting Agency. That is due and coming up. I'd like to have that done as soon as possible. I know that last year we were a little bit delinquent about it. I want to get ahead of the curve on this thing. I think last year they charged us approximately $6,500, and I think we'll be able to get the same deal this year, but I have to actually speak with them about that. If it's going to be any more than that, certainly I'll let the board and the public know. Any questions?
Nope. All right, so motion to approve the amount not to exceed $6,500 to hire Cropper Accounting to produce the Western Hills Water District audited financial statement. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, next is the consideration and approval of resolution number 2021-16, resolution of the Western Hills Water District finding approval of the memorandum of agreement regarding the use of the turnout from California Aqueduct between the Western Hills Water District, Oak Flat Water District, and Kern County Water Agency. Common use agreement for turnout between Oak Flat Water District and the WHWD are exempt from the CEQA under CEQA guidelines section 15301, existing facilities, and to authorize the filling of a notice of exemption, approved memorandum of agreement regarding the use of a turnout from California Aqueduct between the Western Hills Water District, Oak Flat Water District, and Kern County Water Agency. Common use agreement for turnout between Oak Flat Water District and the WHWD. What I would like to do is make a motion to actually table this so we can discuss this further with our operations manager and even possibly a engineer. So I'd like to table this, and can I get a second for that?
Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And before we move on, though, I noticed that Anthea Hansen is on the line. And does anybody from the board, would you guys like to ask her some questions? We've unmuted her. Welcome, Anthea. And we would like, if any board members would like to just ask a few questions to go into our thinking, since we've tabled this until next month. Anybody want to ask her any questions currently?
I think we may, is there any way we can kind of prepare some of these things that we want to take a look at? Number one, possibly being able to talk to our own engineer on some of this information for the questions that we have on this project.
Yeah, I would actually like to ask if we couldn't compile our questions and get them, because we do have several that could require some discussion. And I'm almost feeling it's not fair to her that we're going to throw them at her like this. Can't we just compile our questions and get them to her, and then she can come back and answer them?
Sure, we can do anything that the board would like to do.
Sounds
Yeah, I
good to
agree
me.
with that.
Yeah, I like that idea.
And
What I
thank
was-
you, Anthea, for joining.
What I would suggest is that the board compiles their questions and then submits them to Ron Demers, and then Ron can reach out directly to Ms. Hanson, and they can get that information, and then we can come back to the board at a later date to once those questions have been resolved.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. All right, so
This is Anthea. I certainly appreciate your questions. I look forward to working with your staff. We did present information, but it's been several years. And this project's actually been something we've been working on for, I don't even want to tell you how many years we've been working with the Department of Water Resources to accomplish this simple administrative task. On their end, it's not simple for your district, and I do appreciate the opportunity to answer any questions. We do have engineering schematics that we provided previously, but probably had a different board of directors at that time. So I look forward to engaging with you, and hopefully we can find a mutually agreeable solution. Our agency just has a small parcel of land that can't otherwise be served, and we would respectfully ask your permission to move a very small quantity of water from through your turnout each year in the future, if you can approve these agreements. So I look forward to working with you as we go forward.
thank you very much, and we'll get questions to you pretty quick.
Okay, wonderful.
Awesome. Thanks for showing up this evening. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to reports. Proposed budget presentation and board discussion. So the last time we had kind of a rough draft of the budget. This one's a little bit better. It's in the board packet. We also, I believe we put that online for folks. Apologies that we did not have it last week at the office. Ashley was out of the office all week. But it was posted online. And does any of the board have any questions? Do we want to discuss any of this? I know that there's still a few tweaks and changes that have already come my way, and Ron's working on some things. Ron, was there something you wanted to add to it that you would like to talk about? You're muted.
You want me to present, Matt?
Sure.
me
He's
pull it up.
probably going to be talking about the capital budget portion, I believe.
Oh, the capital expenditures?
I think so.
Yes. So I have added one thing in the capital expenditures I think that would be beneficial to the water district. And what it is I want to add $5,000 into do it's a radio survey. So we could actually get away from running our lift stations off of Frontier. So it would actually be a dedicated radio that just the water district would be on. And it would be just for the lift stations, not employee communications. So it'd be just the lift stations talking to each one and to the water plant. I did this when I worked up in Groveland, and that's up by Yosemite. We had a lake there, and there were 16 lift stations, sewer lift stations around this lake. And we kept getting COMFELs, which is radio, would not talking to each other. And we actually went to the two-way to the private channel, and all radio comms ceased to fit. We didn't have them anymore. And everything worked perfectly. And my furthest water plant that was also on that system was like 10 miles out of town through the mountains, and they all worked very well. So I would like permission to add that to my capital improvement budget.
And that amount gives us a
Radio survey. They will tell us if it will work or not because of where we're at.
and that would eliminate us needing the internet for the lift stations to communicate with one another, correct?
That is correct.
Which would then save us on our frontier bill that is astronomical.
That is correct also.
This is the
And-
dream of wireless, right?
Yes.
Effectively.
Right. And this would also, we know Mark was working diligently on a fix to all of this as well. Can you help explain how this would help in everything that Mark's been working with as well, from your perspective?
Basically, it's gonna free us up from the 4 lift stations and the water plant being on the frontier bill, having to communicate. And right now, we're having issues that the lift stations are not communicating, and they are going through frontier. So we have to have an employee run up and down the hill all day long, making sure that the lift stations stay operating.
And how does this affect our relationship with Tesco? Is it going to help us? Is it, I mean, how is this company that you're wanting to use change or differ?
Tesco does not actually do the radios. They do the HMI and the PLC programming, which is computer programming stuff. They don't do radio surveys. The company that I'm going to use, they do the radio surveys. They specialize in it.
Will there be a conflict between the two, or will they work together? Or one has nothing to do with the other?
They have nothing to do. One has nothing to do with the other.
That's
Okay.
good to hear.
So the issues that we're still dealing with Tesco, we're still going to have to deal with.
Yes,
Okay.
for the time being. I'm working on that.
Can
With
you share with
Tesco.
us, and the company that you're looking at doing the radios, are they also the company you're thinking about using for the Tesco situation?
Yes, they would do everything. It would be all under one roof.
So is this $5,000 helping us give us an estimate for the lift station radios and the Tesco fix issue? Or is it just for the radios and we need to eventually approve another section of money to help us with the Tesco situation if we want to switch from Tesco?
This will be just for the radios. That the other issue is completely separate. And we will come back at a later date.
Okay. Okay.
Before we make an ultimate decision on this new system, are we going to want to make sure that we get that second survey in place so we have an answer, so we don't lock ourselves into a technology that's not going to support necessarily the Tesco portion? So we basically.
Yes. To answer your question, Zachariah, yes. We will make sure everything will work together before we go any further.
Okay, great.
This is just a survey to see if we can get the lift stations to talk through the mountains up to the water plant.
Right.
Perfect.
And the ultimate goal would be, if it works, to then have this company then give us an estimate on all the complications and problems we're having with Tesco to fix that side. Same company, right?
Right.
Got it. So
That's
we're-
correct.
So if this survey works positively and it can help us and save us a lot of money, then that's what's going to set us off for the next estimate on how to change over from Tesco to these guys' programming. Am I getting that right?
The programming will all be the same. It's just a different company will be servicing us. Tesco came out today It's taken them a year and a half to come install a pressure sensor or regulator that I had ordered a year and a half ago. And they're so busy that they have scheduling conflicts, which I understand that COVID hit and everything else, but it's been a year and a half. And they got out today to finally do it. The other company that I'm using, I had an issue with my lift station number one on Friday of last week. I called them, and within 2 hours, the guy was here. He dropped whatever else he's doing, and they were here and responded, fixed our problem, and we were up and running. So it's all about customer service. And I've used Tesco for a long time. Tesco's a good company. I think they're just too big. They can't service everything they have. And that's my opinion.
Fair enough.
Okay.
This
All right.
may be,
Any questions for Ron from other board members? Zachariah, did you have something?
yeah, I was gonna say, this may be a stupid question. But is there a way, knowing that we're gonna have to eventually do that second survey, and it's gonna be the same company that's taking care of it all? Is there a way to proactively kind of speak to them in regard to this? Is there a way to potentially bundle to reduce the cost, so we're not piecemealing it all together and doing each section individually? Generally, if you're going to give a company a lot of extra business, there may be a potential of lowering the cost, knowing that they got something else coming down the road.
I am sure there is. And when I talked to the gentleman about doing the radio survey, he gave me a broad range from $3,000 to $5,000. That's why I'm putting 5,000. That's worst case. It probably won't be that much, but I just want to make sure I have enough. And yes, if we bundle everything together, I'm sure they will give us a much better deal.
Okay,
Cool.
so
And just to be clear, I'm talking about the Tesco portion as well, I guess.
That-
I'm not
yes.
sure if I made it clear. Okay.
Yes.
so Ron, why don't, before we approve putting this 6,000 into the budget, adding this, why don't we get the number for doing both, and we can get it into the budget for both, doing the lifts and doing the whole reworking of the Tesco issues. And maybe we can get a bundle, as Zachariah was mentioning, and let's put that number in the budget,
Okay.
because then it's approved, and then we can deal with it when they're ready. But at
Okay.
least we have I kind of like Zachariah's idea of getting a bundled price, then doing this price, and then, oh, well, now it's this price because we're coming back. It'd be nice
Okay.
for them to do it all at the same time.
The only thing that I can see wrong with that is when we do that, we're gonna need to get a price from Tesco also. Give them, we can't just fire them.
No,
You know
absolutely.
what I'm saying?
No,
So
absolutely.
we're gonna need to get a couple of different bids.
So-
Quotes.
So the budget line item will be, we should contact Tesco and get one of their reps on the line. And I know Mike Oliver here has definitely reached out to me several times saying that he might be able to help us because he has relationships with Tesco people, and maybe for getting something set up for an estimate. I'm all for using the community who has resources for helping. It's not actually doing the work, but it's getting somebody set up to come out and do an estimate. Mike might have some inroads there. And so maybe we can get a cost of what it will bring, what it will cost to bring Tesco up to give an estimate for their side. The only problem is just confirm with me, if we have the lift stations by radio, will the Tesco stuff, if we keep Tesco, still work?
Yes.
One has nothing to do with the other.
Right, the
except for
radios,
customer
the
service.
radios don't care who takes care of the PLC and the HMI. They're just
Okay.
transmitting data. That's all they're
Okay.
doing.
So if we can get a price of what it would cost for Tesco to come give us a estimate for their portion, and then we get a price from the company you're wanting to use, then we can put both of those line items in the budget before we approve the budget.
Right,
Well,
but I don't think
I think you have
Tesco,
far. I don't think you have to go that far because we're not approving what company that to use. We're
But
approving
the amounts.
We're approving a line item in the budget. We can approve the line item in the budget, but also direct Ron to do these other things. So I don't think it would stop approving the budget by doing this because we're just doing a line item and an amount. We need if we all agree that we need the radios, then we aim the radios in there and that amount. And then we can give Ron direction to do these other things. We can still approve the budget and give him those directions to do the other things.
But we need
Is that-
those other, right, but we need the amounts for those other things to put in the budget, correct?
Well, yes and no. I mean, if he can come to the budget come to the board later bring an addition to the budget. It wouldn't have to be the overall year budget because as everybody knows, we need to hurry up and get our annual budget approved. And he can bring that, say, as an individual, just as if we had a water main break, he could bring it and say, I have this issue. If you guys approve it, it'd be a project that he's bringing to the board.
Yes, I understand that. If we can get these numbers in the budget, I'd like to get them in the budget. If we can't, then we can do what Linda's stating of just getting the radio portion in the budget. But if we can get them all, we have a month to figure this out. So if we can get a ballpark number for estimates and we put that in as a capital expense, that would be great. Yeah, it's not, we're in the weeds with the company stuff. I get that, but so we're trying to understand it. And I'm trying to help the community understand the transparency of what we're talking about. But yes, for the budget, it's a line item. It's not a company's name. I get that.
I'll work on that tomorrow.
Cool. And if we can't do it, then when we come back in October, we just have the numbers that we do have. And then Linda's correct. We can always put that in at a later date as like we do. Yep. 100%.
Cool.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. Report. Anybody else have any questions on the other areas of the budget other than that? Has anybody seen anything? Because we've fine-tuned it a little bit more, taken out line items that didn't make sense. Anybody else have any other?
I'm still reviewing it. I'm sure most of us are still reviewing it, but it definitely is a lot cleaner than the prior version. So thank you for that, Ron. Awesome. And
Mark actually did that.
thank you, Mark, and Ron, for that, of course.
Way to go.
Yep, looks really good.
Yep.
Okay, so I'd like to try
real
to
quick, Matt. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No,
Just
go
wanted
ahead.
to mention, anybody else who wants to look at it can. It's on the website. If you go on there and you click on the meetings and agendas button on the right-hand side of the homepage, sorry, it's posted right underneath the September 8th meeting. Carry on.
The dog just wanted us to know for sure that's where it was at.
Sorry.
That's kind of cool.
Oh.
Okay, so I would like to have our October meeting be the final draft, and we're going to go for approving it in October. So I don't want to push this down the road any further. So let's make all the final changes and let's have the final to the community for October if possible.
Great.
Okay, board member reports. I think, Ron, you had a report that we've used now 223 acre feet of water out of our 250, and we're still only in September.
That is correct.
And we've noticed a lot of people washing their cars over in Vintner Circle. lots of people washing their cars. We've seen a lot of watering on non-watering days late at night. I would like to say some people, and this is nothing bad. It's just you guys need to check your drip systems. As we're walking the community in the evening, we notice a lot of you have your drip systems on at night, but they are shooting water out in a lot of places. We've noticed some on, I think it was Varietal. I think we saw some on Varietal where it's shooting water out. So please just double check your drip system. Yeah, double check your drip systems, please, because unbeknownst to you, when your drip system comes on, if some things have popped off or cut or broke or whatever, water shooting everywhere and there's water running down the street, but it's, you know, it's 9, 10 o'clock at night and nobody's out looking at that. So to please check all your drip systems. And then Ron, again, we need to stay on the watering days and we need to hold to that, and no washing cars, guys, please. And we're almost out of water and we're going to have to go to Kern, and Kern has not been, you know, too happy about the fact that we're using more water than we're supposed to. So go ahead, Ron.
And the last thing that I would like to say is I would like to please beg the community, please adjust your sprinklers in your backyards. The landscapers have no control over those sprinklers. And we have noticed several backyards that are watered so much that the water is actually running out of the drains and coming out onto the road, into the sidewalks and the gutters. Please adjust your timers for watering days and 10 minutes if you can. It's getting drastic, folks. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah,
It's drastic.
When we went back to 3 days, I believe Jose Perez said he was going to have the HOA common interest send out an email to everybody reminding them about the water. I'm not sure that ever went out, so I'm going to check on that because I want to get an email out to everybody once again to remember to conserve water. It is a serious issue. And I, you know, we're at 223 acre feet used and we only have 250 allotted to us by Kern, and we're in September.
How are we doing on daily usage? Still over 1?
Yeah,
we're just under 1. We're at 0.99. So just under 1.
I like it, Ron.
Hey,
Very
it's
specific.
something. It's something.
Very accurate.
So that gives us 27 days at that rate.
Yep,
That's correct.
Do it.
so
Which is right into October, which is sadly kind of what we thought if things didn't reduce like they should have.
and we have been reached out to by the lawyers of Kern.
Right.
They are monitoring our water use, and they've let us know that they're monitoring our water use, and they've let us know that they're not happy with our water use. And I can only tell you that we are negotiating. We're in some really good negotiations, and this kind of stuff doesn't help in the negotiation process if we're not taking the conserving seriously. So, you know, we all went to 3 days and we begged the community to please save water. I don't want to have to go back to 2 days. I'm just asking everyone to please take water conservation seriously. We really need to. And we are working with Kern on next year's amount. And I don't have any kind of an answer for you on that regarding right now. But we have requested that we are given more than 250 gallons for next year, or gallons, sorry, acre feet, 250 acre feet. We've asked for more than that. I don't know what that's going to be yet, but just in full transparency, we understand that 250 acre feet is insane, but we've asked for more for next year while we're still working on this negotiation that we're making. And as soon as I hear what they decide on that, I'll let the community know. But we have. So on your behalf, we have petitioned and requested more. And I'll let you know how that works out. And
That's
I
good
don't
to
have an
know.
answer. Yep.
I have one, just one broad statement for the community, I guess. Now that we have Monday, Tuesday, Thursday watering, anybody who has control over their own controller box, their own irrigation controllers, consider perhaps skipping a Tuesday whenever you can. Perhaps, for example, like 2 weeks ago or even last week, it was relatively cool over the weekend thanks to all the smoke we had to inhale. I skipped Tuesday that day, that week, and it was no problem at all. Not that my lawn's in great shape or anything, but you know, things didn't die any further for that. So if you have control over it, you know, and your box can support it, even you could even have Tuesday be just a shorter watering period than Monday and Thursday. And having the 3 days in between Monday and Thursday to Monday, that's relatively acceptable for most of our turfs out here. Even if it does get up in the high 90s or even in the hundreds for a day or two. This week is particularly brutal, but thankfully it landed, the heat wave landed on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, now Wednesday and tomorrow, but it's going to cool off significantly over the weekend coming up. So if you keep your eye on the weather and you take note of the fact that it's cooling off, you can either shorten your watering times or you can skip Tuesday altogether. And I think you'll find that it'll be just fine.
And just another thing to that point, you know how we talk about our big water tank up on the hill, the big one that all the water comes down to our homes on. What footage are we required to have water to?
9 foot.
9 foot. And this was a 3-day weekend, and it was a hot weekend. And we had our workers work on Saturday to make water because paying them overtime on Saturday is cheaper than having them work on Monday, which was a holiday, because that would have been double overtime or whatever, however it works. So we had them make water on Saturday. So they actually made water on Saturday. However, when we came in on Monday to make water, how many feet?
Tuesday.
Or Tuesday. Yes, when you came in on Tuesday, how much water was there?
There was 2.2 feet in the tank.
Good Lord.
2.2 feet of water in that huge tank. If the park would have ran, which thank God it didn't, Chad had it turned off, we may have not had water coming out of our spigots. So this is a serious issue, and I'm not sure the community really understands the gravity of, and that's why we've done so many presentations on how the water plant works and how making water works and how the water goes up to that tank. That tank has to have 9 feet in it, because if there's a fire, our fire hydrants are not on raw water, they're on treated water. That's the way Panos designed this place. Silly enough, we can all go, how stupid is that? But that's how it is. And I just, for education purposes, we really need to get the word out to the community, the importance of saving and conserving water as much as possible, because 2 feet of water in that tank is dangerous, especially in fire season. It's extremely dangerous.
If I can add, I think everyone that's on this call understands that.
Yes.
But if everyone on this call could talk to your neighbors, because there's 300 people in this subdivision or more. I know there's at least 300.
There's 860 according to the census.
Right, and there's only 24 on this call. So
Correct.
that, I mean, it's pretty simple math to figure out how many people are not getting this message.
Right.
So we need to keep telling everyone when we see our neighbors, and especially if we see our neighbors who's running out to, you know, hey, I don't want to cause any trouble with you, but hey, did you know that this is what's going on, kind of thing, because it's pretty serious. When we're preaching to 24 people, when we need to be preaching to 800, well, how are we going to do that? We need this 24 people to help us do that.
Yep. Good point.
Good point.
Perhaps
Maybe we
should
can
consider
start
a
having
direct
set
mailing.
up.
What did you say?
How
Chris?
about at the gate?
Yeah,
Well,
At the gate, can we start handing things out at the gate?
We could definitely do that.
Remind everybody?
We could
So-
mail everybody something
so-
special off cycle from the bill that no one
So-
is paying attention to.
Yeah, just so you know, the bill, when it went out this month, the flyers, the billing company is starting to get on my nerves a little bit. I don't know if any of you on social media heard, but 40 people in our community were double billed, and that was a mistake from the biller, not Ashley. And so we got all that worked out. Well, now they forgot to put our ordinance and our flyer in the bill this month, so nobody got it. But we have talked to them, and they're going to be sending out an email to every resident with the flyer and the ordinance. So they will get that this month, which is good, but it's supposed to be going out every month on the bill. I think that might be a really good idea for us to make some copies and hand them out to cars as they come in, to just give somebody one. And then I see Mike's on the line. Mike Oliver, if we can do something with the HOA and send out a blast also, these
Well,
are very important
that's one
things.
thing I was gonna ask. I know, I could have a point of order error here going on, but maybe we can ask Chris as our publicist to work with the HOA to have the HOA send out something, because I know they have email addresses that we don't have. So maybe we can get Chris to work with somebody on the HOA to do a public announcement, so to speak.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah,
Mike Oliver's on the line as the vice president. So yeah, Chris, we can talk to Mike and get that done.
right. And I unmuted Mike in case he wants to say anything. Sorry to put you on the
Yes,
spot,
Mike,
Mike.
do you want to? Mike, are you there?
He might not have his microphone hooked up. He's listening.
That's all right. So we will, Chris, we'll get with
Yeah,
the
we will,
HOA
exactly.
guys.
Yeah, good idea, Linda. And that's definitely a coordination effort we need to make. Again.
Yep.
Yep. Cool. All right. Any other reports from any board members?
I can, one little report that I can, with the explosion of I hate to call it the Delta variant, because I don't really like that name, because there's a lot of really good people named Delta, and also an airline and a few other things. So, but with the variant of this COVID virus, as far as I know, and Ron could probably speak to that a little bit better than I can. As far as I know, we've only had one scare among our staff with it, and they had to be quarantined for a little while, but fortunately they didn't get it. So we've been really lucky, but keep praying for our staff, because we don't have any to lose, and if we lose any, then that sure puts it very hard on all the rest making water for us.
Good point.
Yep. All right. So we will now open up for public comments on items not on the agenda. Interested persons in the audience or by teleconference are welcome to introduce any topic within the district's jurisdiction. Matters presented under this agenda item may be discussed, but no action can be taken by the board at this meeting except as follows. 1, briefly respond to the statement made or question raised. Ask a question for clarification. Provide a reference to staff or other resources for factual information. Request staff to report back at a subsequent meeting, or a board member or a board itself may take action to direct staff to place the matter of business on a future agenda. So we will open up for any questions.
Looks like Don's first.
Dawn.
Hi. Hey, I just wanted to circle back to what you were all talking about on the communication side. I think we should also saturate social media.
Yes.
Okay, like make more posts on Nextdoor and Facebook. Gotcha.
Yes.
All right. I think, yeah, the first order of business will be something related to water conservation ASAP.
And you
Good
know,
idea.
Chris, so
And yeah, and I appreciate your continued help, Don. You know that.
no worries.
Thanks.
Hey, Don, I heard that you were going to volunteer to take 600 flyers to every single door and knock on them and talk to them about water conservation.
I think that falls under misinformation.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Anyways, great suggestion, Don. And yeah, let's work on that.
Okay.
And also let's coordinate with the HOA a little closer and Mike specifically and Matt and let's get the horns ablazing, because 2 feet of water in that tank, I'm surprised we had any pressure, to be honest with you.
Yeah, not good.
Good point.
All right. Any other questions? Thanks, Don.
Thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
Yes, Andrea has her hand up. If we can unmute Andrea.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, sorry, I couldn't find to raise my hand on there, so.
That's all right.
It was missing on my end. So I have a couple questions, and a couple of them came from the previous meeting we had. And I want to address one thing. I guess it's not, it's kind of a question. It's nothing pertaining to the closed session. The lady that was on the phone, Athea Hansen, she is with what agency? And I'm not, just a little curious of what she was mentioning when she said her agency wanting to partner or do something with the water.
She is from Oak Flat Water District. Correct?
That's right. She's the general manager.
And yeah, general manager of Oak Flat Water District. And that is one of the 29 state water contractors. The Oak Flat is one of the 29 state water contractors that work with state water district. So, and they're the ones that are wanting to do all the things that we sent out in this board meeting at our turnout. So she's representing Oak Flat.
Okay, and we'll get more information at a later meeting regarding that.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. And another question I have, and this was from a previous, so I know you guys are mentioning the water usage. I've noticed that with my bill, the less water I use, you think my bill will go down, but it's actually being the same or going up. Is there a like a grid that we have to watch? I mean, because obviously I don't want to pay more. I don't know if I know you guys aren't adjusting the bills at any, but I'm just.
My bills largely stayed the same. And frankly, my usage has stayed the same as well. If you look at that usage line item,
okay,
it's a dollar amount. If you divide it by $1.49, you'll end up with the number of units of water that you're using. And that each unit is 750 gallons or 748 gallons, if I'm not mistaken. So that way you can calculate your gallons used per billing cycle. But anecdotally anyways, sorry to cut in on your question, but mine's basically stayed the same. Even though we're trying to conserve water here, the bulk of my water usage certainly is irrigation.
Exactly. So I was, because I was out of town for a couple weeks and used less water. Nobody was inside using water, no showers or anything like that. But I still had my bill the same. I was thinking when I got back, at least it would be less.
Are you a low usage user already? Because the majority of your bill may be the base amount and the sewer.
Right.
Yeah, the base amount in the sewer.
Yeah.
Andrea, if you want to email me, do you have my email address?
That may make sense then, because
Okay.
I was considering that, but I also was looking at that. I guess I need to look at the actual usage because the usage is lower, but I still thought maybe it would be at least $10 less.
Yeah, I hear you. It turns out that
I hear you.
So that's where I was like confused. Why am I using less and my bill's more? So
we
or the
pay
same.
so little for 750 gallons of water that the base rate makes up, 90% usually of your bill for most people, unless you're watering a lot or filling a pool or whatever. If you want to email me, It's chrisblessingwhwd@gmail.com. And
Okay.
if you want to send me your bill or something like that, we can walk through it and try and sort this out and see what you can come up with.
Okay, perfect. And then
Okay.
the other question I have, would you guys mention moving the location of the office
Yes.
or the building? Correct?
Yes.
Okay, how would we get to this location? It sounds like, I don't know exactly, it sounds like it's gonna be by the water tower somewhere. I've never been to this location, so I don't
So,
know.
so when we move Ashley up there, pretty much the customer service is going to be taken care of through phone, through internet, through email. Because people can pay their bill online, they can call and give a credit card over the phone, they can mail their check in, there'll be a check drop-off area. We're gonna pretty much not have an in-person customer service person any longer.
Okay, I just want to know if that's gonna work for every, you know.
It's unfortunate.
Sometimes some people want to do face-to-face transactions and do I mean, I'm okay with doing online, but I know there's some residents that still like to go in and hand their monies over.
Right, we've looked at, we've been watching how many people actually come through, you know, we've been kind of tallying it, and it's very, very few people. When the post office was there was a whole lot more traffic. There's very, very few people come. There are still few, but very few. And so it's again, the people will be able to pay by check, and they'll be able to drop it off in a drop box. They'll be able to call on the phone. Did you get my check? We still will have customer service, and the customer service will be top notch. It's just people won't be walking into an office any longer. And again, you know, if we weren't in the dire straits that we were in due to Angels Crossing not paying their bills, we wouldn't be doing this, and we wouldn't even be having this issue.
Exactly.
So unfortunately, we have to make some very serious decisions. We had to make some serious cuts, and we're trying to save money. And this is where the cuts lie. Because World International used to pay for all the electricity of both of those buildings, because it was part of the subsidy to the Western Hills. So they just paid one bill. When Angels Crossing came in, they never paid the electric bill. And so electricity got turned off to us. We had to turn it back on. So now we're paying an electric bill, and we're not receiving the subsidy for it. So it is
the
what
building costs.
we've had to make.
All the building costs, not just electricity, but all the building costs.
Yes, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, everything.
Everything we've had to take. And I understand from one perspective, somebody would say, well, you should be paying your own bill. But the way the subsidy is, and World understood the subsidy because they paid the subsidy, it was easier, instead of Western Hills getting a bill and then them paying us for that bill, it was, let's just pay it all. And they had one bill.
I would argue that was stupid and short-sighted, but that's just me.
Sure. We can go there, but unfortunately, because the subsidy is not coming in to pay the bills, Western Hills is now paying for it and not receiving the subsidy for it.
Right.
And so we had to make cuts.
I think people need to understand what the subsidy is all about. And I think we need to keep reiterating what that is. Had World build out this whole development the way they should have, then we would have enough customers to make enough money to pay our own bills. But because they didn't, we don't have enough money to pay out all the bills that each month it takes, because we have a system big enough and it requires maintenance, and it requires all of the stuff that goes with it for this big system that would have supported the build out of this project, but the build out never happened, but we still have the bills for it. So had World built out the subdivision, finished the project like they should have, instead of letting it sit for 10 years and doing nothing. I think it's 10 years, could be more,
13.
but I know it's at least 10. that they did nothing. They didn't build anything. The only thing that was built was a totally different developer who built over there by the fire station. That was a totally different developer, had nothing to do with World, but thank goodness that they did, because at least that money is now coming in and helping. So we don't need quite so much subsidy, but we still need the rest of the development to be solvent enough to pay all of our own bills. So yes, the developer needs to pay the subsidy because they're not developing.
I understand.
That's right.
I understand. So what I'm hearing is you moving you're moving Ashley to a different building. So it sounds like you're going to be still paying the electric anyway at the
No.
new building.
No,
No,
that's
because
why-
that building already existed and was already being paid for. So she's just going to be sitting in there.
Okay, and it already had electricity. I'm just thinking
Yep.
cost-wise.
It already had electricity. It already had internet. It
Okay.
had everything.
The electricity is a drop in the bucket anyways,
Yes,
really. That
correct.
was just a technical issue between how World had set it up and how they shouldn't have set it up. They should have set it up
Correct.
such that the water district was paying the bill, not them directly.
And then they should have been paying a
Ridiculous.
subsidy to it. Yes.
yes.
Agree 100%.
Okay, and my last question was, and this was several meetings back, the cameras that were purchased there. So since no one is going, I know there were several $1,000s approved for these cameras to be in this building because, and I remember mentioning, why do we need cameras at that location? And I remember, I think it was Matt said, it was because people were walking in, she was handling money, and for security purposes, you guys needed the cameras. Now that you're moving that office, it seems to me that that's just a waste of money.
No, actually,
you guys may-
those cameras are now going to go to Ron at his treatment plant, and they're going to be used in more places at the treatment plant.
these thousands of dollars for this.
Makes total sense.
You know.
Yep.
And moving them moving the building, you just put them in.
The good news is Ron wanted more cameras, and now he's going to get them, and he doesn't have to pay for them because they've already been paid for.
Okay. Well, that's all my questions.
Cool. Thank you. All right, any other questions? Anthony's iPad. Hey, this is a super cool iPad. It talks.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. Yeah, this is Tony Greenwell. I just have a quick question in context of what you guys were speaking on. And I know that, Matt, you had mentioned that you're not able to, speak about things that are in litigation specifically. But I'm just wondering if you can talk about or provide a percentage of the foreclosure proceedings, where we're sitting, at least based on a percentage, where that's at with regards to AC and the properties that that you guys filed the foreclosure for. And that'll be my question.
David Hobbs, can you answer Tony's question with a really good answer? Then I can't talk about it.
No, I mean, we're at the very early stages of litigation. The lawsuits have been filed and lawsuits have been served at this point.
Tony, I know that's unsatisfactory, but that's the status.
Anthony, this is why I passed it over to the lawyer, because I would love to give you so much more information than that, but we can't. But
no, that's fine. No, that's fine.
But things are going. Things are moving.
That's why I framed it. That's why I framed it in terms of a percentage of what for a part of the proceedings and where we're standing, as opposed to getting into the nut and bolts of what it is. I just thought maybe that might be able to. Well, could you also, just it just came up as a second part of the question, is that given the scenario we're under here with regards to that, what is the end result of those funds in terms of their usage within the water district? What's the plan for that? How would those be recycled back into the water district in order to help to either to make it solvent or to help with maintenance costs? I'm not sure how you guys would do that, but is there the question that you can respond to?
Are you saying that when the parcels go to foreclosure and there's bidding on them and someone, pays money, where that money goes? Is that what I'm hearing you?
Right. Correct.
It will go to pay off the bonds that are in delinquency, that are delinquent.
Okay. Okay. That's it. That's the answers to my questions. All right. Thanks, Matt.
Cool. Thanks. Appreciate it. Any other questions? Mr. Oliver.
Can you hear me, Matt?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to let everybody who's on the call know that, the HOA will definitely send out an email blast, tomorrow, I'd say Friday at the latest, regarding the water conservation. But I'd also like to say, it's a little scary when you think that if you look, we have 23 participants on this call, and we're trying to get a message out to 595 homes. So I think based on what, the numbers, as Linda had suggested, we need to be out telling our neighbors and spreading the word. I know myself, I walk my dog every day. I walk through the whole neighborhood, and there's a lot of homes out there that have very green grass that either don't know about this or they're not doing their part. So I don't have any specific, addresses, but I'm just saying it's just an observation that I've made. I think the flyers are a really good idea, but we gotta spread the word with our neighbors, because there's only 23 people on this call. And even with email, I don't know how many people we're going to touch with email. So just a comment that I'm.
Good point.
To everybody.
Yeah, I agree, Mike. I do like the handing out the flyers idea Julie had at the gate shack. Just hand it real quick. Here you go, sir. Here you go, ma'am. Please read this over. It's very important. Be on your way. The direct approach like that is probably the most effective. I think all the counties, or all the districts rather, even over in the Bay Area and such, where people are accustomed to these sort of water shortage situations, are not meeting their district's guidelines or goals. Just trying to get a 15% reduction is like pulling teeth in pretty much every district at this point. So I think, we're also facing a headwind of people sort of saying, well, screw it. I want green grass, or I don't care. You know what? Someone make it work. Someone fix it. But it doesn't work that way. It's not going to happen. And we're going to end up in a worse spot than we are if something doesn't happen. So we'll definitely work on the social media side of it. Don and I will, and Matt, and whatever we can do for directly handing something to people would be amazing, for sure.
Yeah, and then in terms of the flyer, Chris, I can go ahead and see if I can add in a section somewhere that kind of mentions where we're at with the current acre feet and where that puts us, and kind of explain how dire the situation is, kind of make it a little bit more blunt for people to understand. So maybe cool. I'll do a revision on that flyer I made, and we can collaborate on that.
Right on, definitely.
And also, instead of, it's like when we look at the news today, it's always negative, negative, negative. If you see people who are, doing well with the water, thank them. We need to thank you for supporting and saving, and have some of the positive feedback for those that are doing a great job. And you'll see those because they're the houses that have the dead spots.
Yeah.
So if you're out walking and you see that, say, hey man, thanks for your conserving, because normally we would all have green grass. So, don't forget the positive side too, because there are a lot of people that are sacrificing and doing amazing things, and we can't forget them either. we want to say thank you to everybody that is doing a great job and not just focus on the negative.
You know who's doing a really great job of killing his lawn? Mr. Mike Oliver.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you, Michael Oliver. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
It's dead.
I've killed at least 2/3 of mine. No problem.
You're so, oh my gosh.
Just trying to keep a spot for the dogs.
All right. Any other? Oh, Anthony's iPad has another question. Tony.
To what Mike mentioned there, and also I'm killing my lawn too for the effort. So we're kind of all in there at the same space,
Thanks, Tony.
unfortunately.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
but I wanted to ask, I know that this came up a few meetings ago in terms of some type of baseline enforcement where you can look at a water bill and determine based off of usage, whether or not somebody was actually performing the conservation task. Is that still in, or are you guys still considering that? Or is that something that you just, right now, you're just doing as a courtesy and want people to do it on a voluntary basis, as opposed to going in actively looking at their water bills and saying, hey, we noticed that you've increased based on a certain amount, based on what we're needing for conservation, stop it, that kind of thing.
So we have a list of folks that are not conserving, or at least there's evidence that they're not conserving. And we have a letter that we have done that basically is, it's a nice letter, but it was going to be mailed that says, stop it. We notice that you're, watering too much, or we see you washing your car, those kind of things. And we haven't pulled the trigger on that yet. And part of the reason is we're trying to go the nice route. We're trying to really get people to understand, but we might be at the place now where we're going to have to start sending those negative letters. I really didn't want to do that. Our community is going through a hell of a lot. And I just, the sending out of negative letters doesn't make me happy. It's one more slap in the face of the community. And so we're really hoping people will do the right thing. We've been trying to go that route and really try to encourage people, Tony. And but we are at a place where we might have to pull the trigger on that. We have to discuss that more. But Ron and I talk about it constantly. And we may be at that place, but we're hoping. I've been refraining from doing it. I've really tried to not go the negative route. There's a lot of negativity in the community, and I just didn't want to add to it.
I can just add to that too. To your point, Tony, there are ways to obviously look at historical usage data by customer, let's call it by address, and to easily pinpoint those people who may or may not be, using excessive amounts of water given the time of year. And, it's all math when it boils down to it. If you've been using 25% more water than last August, then it'll be very evident, in the billing history. And that's sort of something we can key off of, if you know what I mean. That's what Matt's talking about, rather, I guess, is keying off of that to figure out who to send notices to. And Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't have necessarily an enforcement / fine that we can issue or anything like that at this point. We have to actually do something as a board to make that happen. Is that correct?
David could correct me if I'm wrong here, but the drought of 2016, we implemented a fine policy, and it's never been removed or taken off. So we can implement that at any moment.
Oh, okay.
But once again, I've refrained from doing that.
Yeah.
Just because of the hell we're in. It's not just a drought. It's everything. It's everything. And so I've really tried to stay positive and really encourage. But again, we have 3 or 4 more months to go and we're running out of water. So we may have to pull the trigger on this.
Might have to dig down in the toolbox a little bit more. Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
But good question, Tony.
Yep. Thanks, Tony.
I do wish we had more participants.
Yeah.
We have the Attorney General on the call?
We do have the Attorney General.
Wow. Is that of California or the United States? All right. Any other questions? Anybody? All right. Well, our next meeting is going to be October 13th, but this should get everybody a little bit going here. I may have a meeting towards the end of this month. It's not 100%, but we may have a meeting. It is not going to be to vote on a rate increase. I want to make that clear. It's not a rate hike night, but I'm thinking about having a meeting where we can discuss the newest proposal. I've been working with our water consultants and with our attorney, and we feel like we have something that we want to present to the board and to the community to discuss it. I want to be clear, it will not be to vote on it. I don't want social media craziness going on where, oh my gosh, they're going to vote on rate hikes. That's not going to happen in the next meeting, but it's to propose something. It's an actual proposal, whereas that first one back in February that caused everyone's heads to explode was the actual reality of the difference of what we have to pay to be in the black, and the rate that would correspond to that. That was a reality, but it's not our reality. It can never work, can never happen. So we've been working for these last several months on coming up with something that could work, that could be digestible to the community, to start bringing in some revenue to the district to help us out. So I'm thinking about, and it's not cut in stone yet, we still are working out a few little bugs, but if everything goes like I'm hoping, I'd like to come back in September with a meeting towards the end of September, just to present, because once again, we can't as a board have all this information unless we're in a meeting. So we're going to present it to the board as a possible solution, and the board can take that information, and then, because it's not written in stone, we can then, people can get back to me and say, hey, what if? We can discuss it that night also, and we can just get more of a feeling of where we're at. And it also gives a little bit of a taste to the community of kind of what we're looking at doing. So I'm thinking about doing that in September. So if you see another meeting come in September and it mentions rate, discussion of rate increase, I just don't want panic to happen. Just understand it's a discussion, it's a talk, it's going back and forth, and we will not be voting on a yes or no on that. That won't happen until maybe October, maybe November. We'll see. But I wanted to get something out there for the community. So
I look forward to that, Matt.
FYI. All right. With nothing else, I would like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everybody.
Aye.
Not everybody.
Good night.
All right.